Peace. Peace to the family. Peace, love, and light. Peace, y'all. Ooh. Ooh, that sun coming out. Peace, y'all. Peace to the family. Soul Society, man, what's good? Tap in, brother. I tried to text you on Saturday night to get the address for the land on Sunday, only to realize that your phone don't receive texts. I know you're supposed to take gold in the morning, but I missed mine, so I'm making up for it. Ooh. I said, I'm in the drop top convertible. Shit is surgical. Yeah, I ran out of rhymes. I'm Pope Pablo. I be speaking liturgical. I'm talking about. So look, y'all. Nobody be having liquid gold on 125th. Nah, I don't even know who's on 125th anymore. Where do you get the beads? You can't buy these beads. I had to earn these. Can't buy them. And I'm not in YSL either. I don't know what happened with that. Okay. Yeah, do it for the culture. It's being done. Royal Teeth Lab, what up? See, I got my teeth in. Shout out to Royal Teeth Lab. Look, Royal Teeth Lab, I want you to tap in. Because I saw something in I saw something on YouTube earlier that really had me disturbed, and I wanted to speak about it. I seen DJ Academics talking crazy about Erykah Badu, and that shit really threw me for a loop. It threw my energy for a moment. I was like, whoa, like, we kind of need to speak about this, because as we approach, and I noticed this, and somebody said it, and I was, and I also want to speak about the fact that I put a post up about Tory Lanez yesterday, and anytime that I make mention of this man, I get attacked by women who suggest that whatever position that I'm taking on him, right? And I'm not taking no position. I'm neutral, because I don't know what happened. I'm making an observation about how energy moves through matter. You know what I'm saying? I'm not advocating yay or nay. I'm not saying this is good or this is bad. I'm acknowledging that both of those people are playing out a cosmic script and a cosmic narrative, right? I'm saying that they're both participating in something that's bigger than them, right? And they're playing out a cosmic script and a cosmic narrative. And I'm being super descriptive in everything that I'm saying. I'm not look at me, I'm deep. You know what I'm saying? That's not my approach. I'm simply saying there is a methodology to my observation, and it's based on symbolism and mythology, if you will, that we can show and prove that energy moves through matter. So I get attacked because I make a post about this young man, right? And based on my post, automatically people are bringing me into this gender war thing where you gotta be on the side. Look, nigga, I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm neutral. I'm making an observation. I don't advocate no aspect of a gender war. You feel me? I am not finna be sitting up here pretending like I'm signing up to fight against women. It's never gonna happen. At the same time, I'm also observing, though, which was pointed out, right? And I pointed it out myself. I'm like, we get together as a culture and celebrate our unification and our perceived to be victory on Monday with the Montgomery shit. And I'm like, keep the same energy. It wasn't 24 hours later that we went back to our respective corners, choosing sides, putting our gloves on, lacing our boots up, getting ready to fight one another. We couldn't even keep the energy of unity for 7 whole days. We fell victim, right, to splitting the side down the middle and people taking particular, right, running to this side of the ring or running to that side of the ring. But I will acknowledge and make note of the fact that, yes, women will not have men run to their defense and defend them like they did that brother in Montgomery. That's also an observation, right? That men are not quick to run in the defense of women. And what we're about to see, right, is a test of that. Because we already seen it this past week, or early, we seen it in these past few days. I know I'm missing another glaring example in the culture, right, about men not willing to defend women in the culture. So one of the things that I witnessed today is DJ Academics, right, disrespecting, and I'm not going to get into no titles, the Queen Mother, no, just a sister amongst our ranks named Erykah Badu. Not, we're going to leave all of the titles and stuff alone. You feel me? Let's just deal with it as she is a sister, a member of the culture, you know what I'm saying, who has made a historical contribution to the culture. You feel me? This young man vehemently chewed this sister out and took her to task for something that wasn't worth the energy that he put into it, right? From my observation, he talked crazy about her. He called her, he called her everything under the, but a child of God. You know what I mean? And his explanation and his expression for it, and I want you to listen very carefully, young women, right? Older women in particular. I want you to definitely register and listen to this, right? The brother was responding and reacting to a perceived disrespect that he received 5 years ago because she laughed at him, right? Because she laughed at him. You feel me? Because she laughed at him and he wasn't in on the joke. Now, we all know when DJ Academics was on Complex with Joe Button, he was the butt of the jokes, and he didn't get it. He was the butt of the jokes. You know what I'm saying? He was a joke in the culture. He was fugazi. He was somebody that we laughed at, but the industry has empowered this young man, and his fan base has empowered him with views, right? Now, this is how you could build a nigga up in this culture these days. He got views. He got some bread. You know what I'm saying? He's getting him some, he might even be buying some box and shit like that, right? So he's getting his little peck of water's getting wet every now and then. He's really buying into this fabrication that he is such a pinnacle part of the culture. And interestingly, this is where the line gets drawn, because we are edging up on his 50-year anniversary on Friday, right? And it's like this. Yo, these little young disrespectful niggas, do they have anybody that they answer to? Do they have any OGs? You know what I'm saying? What I mean, where do they get the wherewithal to say the shit that they say and do the shit that they do? So I still think he's a cornball. I've always felt like he was a cornball. You know what I'm saying? And this is not, I'm not going to make this personal, because it's not personal. This is my observation. And again, I don't have a pony in the race, other than the fact that I made a glaring observation about our unwillingness as a culture to run to the defense of our sisters, the same way that we ran to the defense of that brother, right, on the docks. Now, I know many of brothers that don't agree with me, right? They like, fuck them bitches. You know what I'm saying? They just, black men are at a different place right now in their hearts when it comes to black women. And that's just what it is. You know what I mean? I cannot walk that back. I can't even explain it to y'all. I just know that brothers have had some, you know, they have had some disheartening experiences. And then a lot of people grew up in the midst of hip hop where they didn't even get those instructions or those downloads. So the way that they have been instructed by hip hop is fuck hoes, get money, fuck them bitches. You know what I'm saying? We don't let them tricks. And that's what they own. They was raised on that. They don't know nothing different. I tend to remember when it was a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? And I love my mother, and I love my sisters, and I love my girlfriend, and I love my nieces. I love women. You know what I'm saying? I love women, and I feel that, yes, women are worthy of our protection. Women are worthy of the shit that we love leading with. We love leading with our masculinity. So you are a provider and protector. It should be expected on you to do some man shit in the midst of you being in, you know, in proximity of women, if you such a man. Now, if you a boy, that's a whole nother conversation. And there's a place in society for your bitch ass, you know what I'm saying? But it's getting pretty overcrowded at the top. So there's mad boy shit going on. You feel me? You should elect to be a man every now and then. You know what I mean? And step to the forefront and do the shit that men do. So, as a man, you know, me seeing DJ Academics attack Erykah Badu in the way that he did it, you feel me? It was like, no, this is some boy shit, and we have to make a differentiation. We got to draw the line in the sand, because this shit has gotten out of control. And the fact that I'm able to see that we do still have men in hip hop, you know what I'm saying? The fact that I'm seeing the golden era, the graduates, the candidates, the ambassadors are still with us. They still have their scruples intact. You feel me? It's like, yeah, we don't need the boys to be in leadership position of the culture. A lot of the shit that you seen on the doc, that has to happen inside of the culture amongst us towards bitch assness. We gotta dump it out. We gotta dump it out. I've been calling on the drop squad, right? There's certain niggas that need their whole entire ass kicked for the shit that they've been doing in the culture. Now, I want all, you know, shit, let me not even say that. Let me keep that to myself. Right? I'm going to attempt as best as I can to make this, you know, a family-friendly live, so you can share it, you know, with people who you care about, and so you don't have to over-convince them, you know what I'm saying, to do some of the shit that we feel comes natural to what men should be doing. You know what I mean? Hold on one second, y'all. Huh. Yeah, give me 1 second. Yeah, but again, these are just observations. You know what I'm saying? These are just general observations. Okay. You good, right? You don't need to get in here. You good?
I mean, I'm the cleaner. I was parked there so I can clean.
Okay.
Okay.
But do you need to get in here in this spot?
Get in where?
In this spot?
No, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. I couldn't watch the whole thing either, but I saw enough of it where I felt compelled as a member of the culture, right? As a melanated man, as an active participant, somebody who was, celebrating the other day, right? I will perceive victory coming together, unified as a collective. Somebody such as myself who has the audacity to prepare to celebrate hip hop's 50th in a few days, you know, all of these things as somebody that's even I could say, wholeheartedly I'm a fan of this woman's music and her legacy and her contributions. I don't know Erykah Badu, surprisingly enough, right? I've never met the sister. She knows all about us. I have not met her. I have not been
I think he was just using her.
so graciously afforded the introduction that has been, escaping us on numerous occasions. But that's neither here nor there. I don't need to know her on an intimate, personal level to know that she did not deserve that level of disrespect from a young man, a member of our society. And again, I am going to attempt as best I can to speak sensibly, right? Because these young men are our brothers. These young men are our sons. These young men's, you know what I'm saying? These young men's are members of our society. They're members of our community. They're members of our culture. Presumably they are men or young men who, they grew up in this thing that we helped create. You know what I'm saying? We are all part and parcel to the same culture. You know what I'm saying? But something has gone astray. You feel me? Something has gone awry. And yeah, he might not be young to you, but he's young to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm 47. And I know again, when I'm looking at a boy, he lives in his mother's basement. Even if he's moved out of his mother's basement, he still operates and moves around like he lives in his mother's basement. He's still the nigga from his mother's basement. What happened? Again, I will attempt as best as I can to review what I'm speaking about without getting too specific, right? Because of the language, I don't wanna bring up the language, but DJ Academics did a stream earlier where he disparaged the name of Erykah Badu. He drug her something, like it was ugly what he said about her in the way that he, characterized her character. It was just downright disrespectful. And that's just a snapshot, once again, of a larger conversation in our community amongst us, especially amongst us as men. And that is how we have been orientated to look at women in our culture, in our community. I'm also dovetailing off of this conversation about Meg Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez without getting too specific in the particulars of the case, right? Would it be possible for us to have discourse about these situations without disrespecting one another? So I didn't make a disparaging post about this young lady or that young man And I don't feel that in the post that I made, I took sides. You know what I'm saying? I just made an observation about the symbolism that was involved. And I also spun the block on a topic that I was speaking about since the winter solstice when he first got sentenced. And I was explaining to people the cosmological symbolism that was at play. You know what I'm saying? And then the fact that he ends up getting sentenced on Lionsgate. And I told you from last year that this was all about a Leo ritual. This was about putting the Leo on the cross. Or you guys in your fucking religion call it putting the sun on the cross or Christ on the cross. No, it's a cosmological, right, symbolical ritual of the killing of the king. The king is Leo. The king is the sun. You know what I'm saying? In your understanding, they have characterized the sun as fucking the Christ of the world. You niggas is lost, right? But that's a whole nother conversation. I'm just explaining it to you in the simplest fucking terms possible. But yet and still, people, you know, are gonna take that conversation and create a thread under the post where it's men attacking women and women attacking men, and the shit just looks like toxic. It looks like vitriol. In less than 24 hours prior to that, you niggas was celebrating, unifying, and defending one another on the docks of Montgomery. Even though, right, like I said, the men and the women that jumped off that boat, that river boat, is a slave boat that has been utilized in the transportation of slaves since the 1700s, whether you believe in slavery or not. Right? They was running plays from Liverpool, UK, right, with that boat to Barbados, I believe it was. Okay, since the 1700s. So it don't matter what you think at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's like none of this shit really makes sense. And we spend so much time, you know. So y'all was working on a slave boat, but talking about slavery. I'm like, nigga, you was working on a slave ship, but talking about the ancestors. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather talk about them young ladies that said that they was doing ancestral ceremonies and shit prior to that. Let's attribute it to that, because it ain't got nothing to do with that. I can't say what it got nothing to do with, but god damn it, why is that river boat still on a fucking river if it's a relic that has been used in the transportation of slaves since the 1700s? Right? That shit should have been broken down and made into lawn chairs a long time ago. Destroy the boat. Destroy the docks. Destroy the fucking houses that are relics, plantation homes and shit like that are still standing, that they're using for slave tours. Why are they still standing? Right? And the fact that they are still standing as edifices mean that the remnants and the energy from slavery are still around. Like, you have to destroy these places, and you got to do spiritual cleansings to eradicate the energy, to break the energy up. The trauma, right? The spiritual imprint of those traumas are still trapped in those places. Those slaves are still on those boats energetically. Those slaves are still on those fields energetically. Those slaves are still in those plantations energetically. The signature, the energetic signature of them still exists. Remnants of their spiritual bodies are still present. Why are these plantations still standing up? The South lost the war, nigga. Right? They burnt Atlanta twice. And there's still plantations up in this motherfucker that are now multi-million-dollar homes in some of the most prestigious areas. You feel me? They got whole subdivisions out here called plantation this, plantation that. Especially outside of Atlanta when you get deeper in the south of Georgia. Elaborate. elaborate subdivisions too, right? Starting at 500 plus and up. So not only was the boat called Harriet, but it is a slave boat that has been in use since the 1700s, coming out of Liverpool, UK, running slaves back and forth from there to Barbados or the Bahamas or one of them shits. Okay? So, since all you motherfucking let me cut it out. But yeah, you know, again, and they beating up on Shari Richardson. I don't know what she did. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what Shari Richardson did to get. They beating up on her again. You feel me? And it's just so disparaging, continuously, just to see men's willingness to beat up on women, or, you know what I'm saying, to just sit by and allow that shit to do what it do. Now, you know, every nigga that's worth their weight in gold is gonna tell you, man, fuck them bitches. You know, you can't be out here defending them. You know what I'm saying? They be running all types of motherfucking plays. You can't trust them. Granted, right? They're very strategic. You know what I'm saying? Everything ain't always what it seems. You know, none of this shit is to be read from the surface. There's always more than meets the eye. Right? But I'm like, goddamn, you know, black man, if you say that you are who you are and you claim to stand in so much power, you feel me? Then it's like, yo, you gotta be above certain things. You gotta be beyond certain things. Like, all of this shit at the end of the day is a test for you. But you keep the planets in orbit. You the god of the universe, my nigga. You're gonna be tested by a lot of things. Conditions are not gonna be favorable on a lot of different occasions, and you still gotta show up, my nigga. Professionally. Never let them see you sweat. You a fucking man. You know what that means? So stop making excuses for men and women. Stop making an excuse as a man, and women stop making an excuse for the men. Right? And we got to stop playing this game of what came first, the chicken before the egg. It's like, nah, shit fucked up, period, out here. We both jacked up. We both moving out here, you know, indiscretionally, like outside of the definition of who and what we are. It's not one person's fault over the other. We could play semantics and we can go back in the DeLorean and figure it out, where did it start and who started it, so we could play the blame game, because we know how we love doing that, right? But what are we gonna do going forward? Because shit is scrambled. These young niggas did not get the codes. They did not get the script. They're operating off of a Snoop Dogg script. They're missing pages out of their manual. You feel me? And because of that, you know what I'm saying? A DJ Academics could feel so safe. He could feel so assertive in a community, in a society such as this, that he could get on his platform and totally shit on Erykah Badu. He just flushed her down the toilet. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, on a week leading up to the 50th anniversary, is this nigga supposed to be making appearances anywhere, spinning records? Do he even do that? Or he just gonna be on Twitch and the young niggas is gonna try to run this play like, oh, you know, as if the hip hop 50 is not for this. Is this not y'all's to celebrate too? Is there two different hip hops, my nigga? You know what I'm saying? It's a hip hop for the old niggas, and then it's a hip hop for the young niggas, where they don't make no acknowledgement of their past. They don't make because these are the childless children, right? These is, you know, Remember when it was almost like anthemic in hip hop talking about sometimes I feel like a motherless child. These niggas is the bastard child. They're the bastards. These are bastards of the party. They don't have mothers or fathers. Culturally speaking, I'm not speaking about biologically. I'm speaking about culturally. Like, who is the mother and the father, right? Who can motherfucking who could vouch for you niggas? And what was your entry point into the culture? Like, who was your mother and your father that brought you in? We'd be like, Lil Wayne birthed these niggas. That's their father. Nicki Minaj nursed you niggas. That's your mama. You see how that works? Right? You see how that works? I could be like, Chuck D, right, is the father to my style. He kind of like was the first, and I can't even say it's Chuck D, right? It goes a little bit further than that. My wake-up call in hip-hop was The Message by Melly Mel. I wouldn't call him the father, right? Or the person who onboarded me to hip-hop, but the things that I was looking for, and I couldn't, you know what I'm saying? I could say this, look, he had an affirmative message, but he didn't look like a man to me in terms of like the men I was looking at that looked like my father. Or the fact that I grew up listening to Last Poets and I looked at them and they looked like, when I would go outside to the store and shit like that, they looked like the elders on the corner. I ain't seen too many people that look like Melly Mel in my neighborhood with the zippers and shit on the jacket and the feathers in their ear. And I lived in the Bronx. And I didn't see too many people like that. But when I saw Run DMC, I'm like, oh, them niggas is hella familiar. Even when I saw LL, right? Because he was a teenager when I came across his music. And I was probably a tween. I was probably in my preteens. You feel me? So his look was familiar and he was talking about girls. So his message was relative, right? When I saw Queen Latifah, when I saw MC Lyte, I had a crush on Lyte. I didn't necessarily have a crush on Queen Latifah, but I felt she had a strong message. It was firm. You know what I'm saying? I had a hell of a crush on Moni Love. That's where I was like psychotic with it. You know, like I was in my mind and shit like, yeah, when I meet her, this what I'm gonna say. Like I was playing that game with myself. You feel me? Yeah, I thought I had a chance and shit. You know what I mean? Niggas was plotting and planning this shit like, yo, we gonna take a trip to the UK. Niggas looking at tour dates, trying to figure out how to make an alignment in the crowd where she could see you with the lights on. Stupid shit, right? But these are the things that compel us to want to grow up and be adults. Like, I had a crush on Claire Huxtable. She had me skip over my teens, right? Like, I don't want to say my teens, but like, I didn't have... Huck Harris once said, the girls look so good, but their brains are not ready. I don't know. I'd rather talk to a woman because her mind is so steady. So here we go. And then he said the girlies are free because the crack costs money. So I'm not even looking at young girls in my age group because I'm looking at them like they're potentially silly. And they're not totally hip to the game, right? Like Claire Huxtable would be. You feel me? I'm like, Claire know what to do with a... Claire would know what to do with a player like myself. You know what I'm saying? You know, you sizing your shit up. You like, yeah, you know, Claire can handle a young player like me. You feel me? You really think you got something to offer to the game and shit. You know what I mean? You're not like what you got to bring to the game for Claire. You like, yeah, Claire might be able to handle a young jit like myself, a young player like me. And you dead ass too. You dead ass. You want to grow up overnight and make this shit happen. You don't got no time for little girls because you like, nah. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm smelling myself and shit. I got an appetite for Claire Huxtable types. Y'all not my type. So that I was orientated, right? That's what you call orientated. I was orientated. You feel me? I was orientated by an older woman. You feel me? I was orientated by an older woman. That was my crush. And it affected my taste buds. You know what I mean? So, and then LL. I mean, I liked LL and I couldn't stand him at the same time. You feel me? Because I'm like, I don't really want to. Teenage Love was more of my song than I Need Love. Right? I gravitated more towards Slick Rick and Teenage Love than I did towards I Need Love. Because that shit was too sappy for me. Teenage Love, it hit a little bit harder because I had probably been through a breakup before around that time. And when the beat changed, nigga, I could really feel that because I've been in that space. In the fashion, they had Big Daddy Kane and shit on the train with the, you know what I mean? All of that stuff that went into that. The visuals of Teenage Love and Slick Rick orientated me towards relationships that I knew that there was a good and a bad. Right? And then he had a B-side called Treat Him Like a Prostitute. So then I also was mindful that there was another side to this shit altogether. But we all knew scallywags in our neighborhood. We called them jump-offs. You know what I'm saying? That was the shorty that niggas ran trains on. You don't kiss her in the mouth and you don't wife her. I almost made a mistake like that. I'm going to tell the story in the book. You know what I'm saying? Long story. It was traumatic even talking about it right now because I'm reliving it. Whew. Player was slipping. But these are the things that orientate us. So when I look at the younger brothers and sisters that came into the game, I know that you was orientated by music or some niggas or some women that have been influenced by music. And that was your orientation. So if I'm looking at these young niggas and I'm like, look how you've been orientated. You came in, possibly Lil Wayne was your enlightener, right? That's the person that onboarded you. And Nicki Minaj was a person that you were able to transfix your fixations on of what sex with a young woman is going to look like. You know what I'm saying? And using those two metrics, right? Or you a little nigga that grew up off Drake and you have a very emo response or approach, you know what I mean, to mating, to dating, you know what I'm saying, to this game that it is that we play. This the only game in town. The only game in town is the prime, it's the dating game. Right? That's the only game in town, nigga. You feel me? Our urge to procreate. You know what I'm saying? Our sexual urges. You have a primal urge to procreate that supersedes everything else. You feel me? At the end of the day, yes, that's who you are. You're fucking prime. You're an animal. Okay? You need to obey your thirst. So, understanding that this is where a lot of these young men and a lot of these young women came from, we have to have a level of compassion that leads to understanding, right? Just enough to be like, damn, you didn't get the fullness of the teaching. You know what I'm saying? You didn't get the fullness of the orientation. I don't think DJ Academics has any street history. So he didn't learn in the streets. He didn't learn on the go. He didn't learn through observing the nuances. He learned from music, from being in his mother's basement, listening to niggas in a fantasy. You know what I'm saying? Listening to grown men embellish about their fantasies on wax. That is where he more than likely got orientated into his introduction into who and what a woman could possibly be. So his disparaging comments his commentary towards Erykah Badu, right? And the ilk that she represents, because it's not just a challenge to her. He was basing and challenging whoever wants to defend and challenge her as well. He said he wants all the smoke, right? And I don't believe you need more people. So the place that we're at, unfortunately, with the youth, especially somebody like DJ Academics, who more than likely was drinking Hennessy when he was saying this, right? So we got to understand, this is the shit that goes on the internet with the keyboard gangsters and the people that you might be going back and forth with, right? These niggas is behind the screen. They sipping on Hennessy, right? The alcohol is making them feel hella brave. They don't have no guardrails, right? They don't got no big homies, and they have not seen enough blood spilled to convince them that they're in the danger zone. So now everybody's testing the water, right? Especially for you conscious woke niggas, because you don't spill blood. You know what I'm saying? You talk a good one, and the shit sounds very elaborate, but you can't speak, you can't show a nigga that got as much as a scratch over here, right? Or who has even retaliated with a water gun for disrespect of the culture, or the elders, or the ancestors. Nothing to speak of, right? So you're not convincing the young niggas who've been playing Call of Duty in a basement, drinking Hennessy, listening to hip-hop music, that you mean business. Because the only way that these youngsters translate business is action, right? So that's it in a nutshell. You know, there's going to be responses. People are going to tell this man how wrong he is. But if nobody go upside his head, the point was never going to be driven home. And I'm not advocating or calling for violence, but I am saying that, you know what I'm saying, at sometimes you got to give people what they're looking for, because they're looking for it. You feel me? And this world of you know, where the portals are open and magnetism is strong, a nigga should be able to call upon what he's looking for, and it should be able to reach him in real time, like real quick, right? You convince them that the universe is a real thing. You know what I'm saying? Because they're no longer convinced. You know what I'm saying? Your children don't respect you. You feel me? And the culture will not be held hostage going into his 50th year by disrespectful little niggas, right? Or little, rude, loudmouth bitches, right? There has to be, we gotta check the children. We gotta clean our house up. We gotta put some spankings out. We have to restore the balance of order in our house. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have to turn some people upside down and drop them on their head. It's just what has to be done. And we're literally fighting to restore, right, the legacy of the culture back. And you're fighting for your children at this point, because your children have to believe that you mean business, because they obviously don't believe you anymore, because y'all is into the same shit, right? But you know, they know that there's real world consequences behind violating their heroes and their sheroes, right? You can't smack one of them little niggas and expect the little nigga could have nail polish on. The nigga could have a dress on like Jeffrey, and you can't smack him and think that you're gonna get away with it, right? But you could come and smack the shit out of some of our elders, some of our ancestors. You could pee on their grave. You could desecrate their shrines. You could do all of that shit and get away with it, right? Because the old niggas done got soft. You got too much to lose, right? You got too much to lose without understanding that you lost everything already, because you don't have respect. You lost everything already, nigga. You don't have respect. These young niggas don't respect you. You feel me? And young niggas don't respect you. So I don't want to even ever have to talk street shit, because I don't want to have to tell you what we had to do in the street shit you know what I'm saying, to maintain a level of decorum and respect. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have to get into that bag. I'd rather us focus on Montgomery. Nigga, focus on Montgomery. You know what I'm saying? Keep your energy there. But do not allow your timeline to plunge you back into this war of genders. Black man versus black woman once again. We balking and basing on black women. No, it's no time for that. You know what I mean? And, you know, unfortunately, it's not like the younger generation wants to even have sensible conversations so they can tell you where you went wrong and violated them. This nigga been sitting on this for 5 years, he said. That he felt disrespected because Erykah Badu came up to his TV show and laughed at him. He was a fucking laughing stock at that time. Like, we was all laughing at him. So you want to signal her out because she is a bohemian hotep? Right? He said, oh, she followed him. So he went on a tirade on live talking about how he don't fuck with her. She gave everybody in the industry some box. She's worn out. She's a hoe. She's a slut. You know what I'm saying? She got graveyard coochie. You know what I'm saying? Because niggas slide up in her box and their whole old character dies and they get resurrected into some new niggas. They never the same again. Right? He talked crazy about her. But she got baby fathers. She got niggas in this industry to vouch for her. She got people to love her. Right? She got thousands of people that just went and bought the tickets to go and see her. Right? So I would expect them to be front line. I never met the sister. I got love for her. And plenty of people that I do know her on a very personal level. Right? We got the same jeweler, right? Same person make our gold teeth. KT used to live with her and cook for her. But I never met her. Right? But I still got love for her. Because I know what she's done for the culture. I know what she's done for me personally, you know, with her contribution to the culture. And she didn't even have to make a contribution. I would still be there to defend her with a level of sensibility. I don't know all of the metrics of the situation. I'm going to be a man enough to tell the young brother, yo, bro, like, chill, what's going on? Like, is it that serious that you got to speak about her in these uncertain terms? You feel me? Is there any other way that we can address these women and get our point across without destroying their character and totally shitting on, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything that they stand for and represent? We can't allow that, bro. We can't allow that, bro. You know, somebody said, I'm speaking about DJ Academics disparaging commentary towards Erykah Badu. I'm also speaking about our reluctance to not understand a trap when we see one. So as soon as the Megan and the Tory situation popped back up, you know, we went right back to sleep and started arguing amongst one another, male and female, talking about things that we couldn't possibly. It's an open-ended discussion that sees no end because you wasn't there, I wasn't there, so nobody knows the facts of it. You arguing the facts, circumstantial evidence and shit like that you're not going to get to the bottom of. Like, that has to be tried out in a court of law amongst whoever is tried out against. This should not be something that continuously plays out in a court of public opinion and creates a severe split between men and women for what two grown people decided to do on a late night with a third wheel, right? And who's the third wheel is for you to determine. Because if that man was in a relationship with one woman and he was sliding with a homegirl, she's the third wheel. Fuck her celebrity, right? She put herself in a third wheel situation. There's so many things that we can speak of. Grown people getting intoxicated. If it was such an egregious act, Why this woman don't hang up a hot girl summer, or at least put a PSA out to say, if you are going to be out there having a hot girl summer, make sure that you are properly hydrated and not intoxicated and compromising situations like this. If this shit was really about what you say that it's about, why are we not taking the opportunity to do something better? Why don't we grow from the situations that we find ourselves captured in and tethered to, that you don't got no fucking pony in the race to begin with, nigga? That wasn't your pony. That wasn't your pinky toe. You feel me? And that nigga's not your kin, your direct line of kin, where you feel it, where you taking it so personal because he got 10 joints. Right? We gotta stop jumping in between people and their destiny. You know what I'm saying? We gotta stop jumping in between people and their destiny. And you gotta stop vicariously living through people from the comfort of your homes. Like, you know, the only thing we can do is make observations. You know what I mean? We can only make observations. You know what I mean? And you can only attempt to learn from a situation. You know, that is what maximizes your observation, because you got to get a return on your investment. What are you investing? Your time, your energy, your attention, your focus, your emotions is in this. So how are you getting a return on that investment? Oh, I learned something from it. I leveled up. I got a whole lesson. You know what I'm saying? I made a whole observation, and I became wiser because of it. I became more even keeled in my mind. You know what I mean? I drunk one last glass of alcohol, right? I stopped trying to backdoor and creep with white women, because that's what he was trying to do, y'all, right? He was trying to slide with Kylie, and the ghost of Travis hit this nigga with a thunderbolt. Like, nah, nigga, we not finna be doing this, right? But, you know, homie was out here doing some reckless shit too. You gotta know, especially, once again, this is for men, young men in particular as well. If you're listening to this, if you are outside, right, on demon time, leading with your penis everywhere that you go, right, and that's how you show up. That's what you lead with, right? You done weaponized your joint. You got to understand that, you know, you're playing a dangerous game, sexing a woman and her best friend, or her good friend, or her friend, period, right? You're playing a dangerous game. You know? Especially if you're trying to knock the box out the box. You're trying to rock the box and knock it out the box, where she gotta tell her friend and shit, and now her friend wants some, and then you done knock both of them out the box, right? You're creating a potentially dangerous situation. And I'm not saying that it's gonna end up in what you've seen with Tory and Megan, right? But it could potentially, you know, be a situation where you're gonna destroy a friendship. You're gonna create a level of distrust. You're gonna create an air of suspicion that is gonna eventually erode at those young ladies' relationship, right? And it ain't like you gonna choose up. You knocking both of them down to ultimately move on to knock somebody else down. Because look, this nigga was already trying to knock down Kylie. So he was on a roll, right? He done weaponized his wood. And this is what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? He was playing the game, but you're playing with people's lives. And now they playing with his life. Now he got a whole dime to think about it. Right? So nobody wins. Everybody really gets the gas face in the situation. Everyone has a level of culpability. Everybody got to sit with this. That was involved. I mean, not you niggas. You feel me? And there's no winners. There's ultimately no winners. You feel me? There's ultimately no winners. And if you think that a penitentiary is the only purgatory or living purgatory on this planet, then you got something else in store. You feel me? Because people living with the lie, they're living in a self-imposed prison as well. You know what I mean? And your chickens will come home to roost eventually. You know? So this again, it goes into this conversation, this layered conversation about, you know, being principled and just for like just growing up. Like, what does that shit look like in the culture? You know, what does a grown version of the culture look like? What does being responsible and growing up look like? You know? It's just looking real bad out here. Sidebar. Whew. I saw, and my lady was playing the video, and this came on. It was LL Cool J and the Roots. They was on Breakfast Club. This was last week. Now again, this is just an observation. Even though it's going to come with a level of commentary, I am attempting not to be judgmental by saying that the other day was the first time that LL has been on Breakfast Club. Now I'm like, damn, this brother got a whole media situation. Like, you know, he got a radio station called Rock the Bells. He's in media still. He's made many and plenty of contributions to the culture. I'm like, shit, Umar been on Breakfast Club like 4 times. LL has never been on Breakfast Club? LL? The future of the funk. LL? So it was LL's first time on the Breakfast Club. I'm rediscovering LL. I'm going through that phase of my life right now where everything that I'm catching from him, all of his interviews, you know what I'm saying? It's like I walk away from them knowing more, getting a better understanding of him as an individual. I'm getting a better understanding of the times that were present when he came into the game, you know what I mean, and made his contribution. I'm getting a better understanding about lasting longevity or what it means to be a living legend. I'm getting more of an understanding about hip-hop because he personifies hip-hop. Like, I was looking at Crush Groove the other night. Nigga, that was like 3 lifetimes ago. For me, it was like 4 lifetimes ago. So I'm like, what are they going through? Like, what is their perspective? They've been in the game for 30 plus years. You feel me? Like, how many stories do they have to tell? And LL is starting to tell these stories, and I'm very much impressed with who he has become as an elder statesman for the craft. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that, you know, he has put this thing on his back and done the things that's needed and necessary to acknowledge, right, the people that put the game together initially, because the Bronx may have been where hip hop started, but the Queens took it to the rest of the world. They made the shit magnanimous. They blew it out the park. You know what I mean? Queens made it corporate. They made it a culture, right? Or they made it a corporate culture. They made it possible for niggas to get paid. You know what I'm saying? They put wheels on the whip, right? Queens built the whip up. I mean, the Bronx built the whip. right? They got the blueprint for how to build a vehicle, and them niggas built the vehicle. Queens came along and they put the wheels on that shit and they got it moving. We gotta acknowledge Queen's contribution to the early beginning and stages of hip hop. Now, KRS-One should be enshrined in Queens. They should build him a statue, because it's like martyrdom. When you kill one martyr, you create a million others, right? And what I see with KRS-One is that when he killed MC Shan, right, and he attempted to kill off Queens, he created an environment where them niggas could not be whack at all. So everything that came out of Queens after MC Shan, them niggas was throwing their shoulders out, swinging for the fence, right? And I feel because of the pressure that he put on Queens, the fact that they felt pussy in their spirit. If you was a little nigga growing up in Queens after The Bridge Is Over came out, you felt pussy in your spirit, especially if you lived in Queensbridge, right? You had something to prove. You was down one. You was down bottom. You was worse out than niggas in the South initially in the beginning of hip hop if you was from Queens. Cause niggas from the South, niggas like, we ain't even listening to y'all. You know what I'm saying? You just don't got nothing to say. But niggas from Queens, we like, y'all pussy. You know what I'm saying? There's a big difference with you ignoring a nigga and you telling the nigga that he's cheeks. And that's what happened with the Queens niggas. So when they had to make their contribution to the game, to the genre, that shit had to be transcendental. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what they brought. They brought transcendental contributions to the game. And to this day, we still see them, right, showing their ass and making contributions to the game that takes the game to a whole nother level. Outside of Fat Joe, right? And hopefully I'm not missing anybody. And I'm speaking about people that are installed in the game in positions where they can move pieces and do something. What other Bronx nigga is moving metrics around in hip hop, right? Making this shit do what it do. Who else in the Bronx outside of KRS-One? Because I don't even think Fat Joe is involved with the initial planning, like the Hip Hop Museum and Hip Hop 50 and shit like that. I don't think that Fat Joe was initially involved with the planning and the implementing of it. I think that it's KRS-One, right? Who else from the Bronx has some say? Maybe Swiss Beats, but then, you know what I'm saying? You know, maybe Swiss Beats. But yeah, Remy Ma's battle rap for females is a very good contribution. Chrome 23 is cool. You know, they didn't do that great the last ticket. But Chrome 23 is cool. You know what I mean? I'm speaking about commemorating Hip Hop 50 for the birthplace of hip hop, which is the Bronx. And who's in the game from the Bronx outside of Fat Joe that is a mainstay still in the game, that's been in the game for 30-something years and it has been representing for the Bronx as the pinnacle home of hip hop. It's been Queens niggas for the most part, right? Yeah, maybe Funk's Flex, like that nigga's gonna spend some parties, but he don't got nothing to do with putting together a 50-year acknowledgement and anniversary. The politics in New York is too strong for certain individuals to be in positions where they're putting plays together. They'll run plays, but not put them together. Because then it deals with, oh, how can you leave out such? How can you leave this nigga out? How can you leave that nigga out? Brooklyn is another conversation. We speaking about Queens and the Bronx because Brooklyn is not in the mainstream conversation with the beginnings of hip hop as it pertains to where the shit started, even though there's a narrative out there that says that it started in Brooklyn as well. Right? But you got Nas, you got Run DMC, you got LL, yeah, you got Nori with the Drink Champs, right? This shit is all, yeah, you got Tribe Called Quest, right? And I'm sure I'm missing somebody. But when it comes to the maintenance of the culture at this particular time and creating places and stages for hip-hop to be seen at a certain level in light, even Cormega is trying to do his own thing on his page with the Hip Hop 50. It's Queens niggas. So shout out to Queens. Shout out to 50, right? 50's on a 20-year tour. 50 got the power verse popping, right? And the power verse has been utilized also as a platform for relics, you know, for retrograde, for us to go back into the culture. I'm looking for a word. Yeah, it's you know, they got a lot of retro shit on Power through the Power universe with the wearing a polo and all of that. You feel me? So Queens, right? KRS One deserves to have a monument in Queens for putting the fire under a whole borough where there has been nothing but damn near excellence. None of these niggas really missed coming out of Queens post KRS One. The bridge is over. Now, if that nostalgic, if that's not hip hop, right? That's hip hop in its essence. Then I could put the ether on you. Right? Shout out to the low lives, yeah. If I could put the ether on you, right? That shit is gonna make you step your game up and rise to another occasion. Look what Nas did to Jay-Z and put the ether on him. And this nigga's saving grace was to become a mogul, to become a billionaire, to become unrelentless in the shrewdest of businessmen, right? Because he could no longer smile in niggas' face the same way. I know that they don't want to explain the story like this, but I was very coherent during the death of Rockefeller. And I remember Dame Dash had a radio show on WBLS with Big Face Gary, right? Used to come on Sunday nights. And I remember Dame Dash in so many words, because he said it this year in an interview. He backed up these sentiments that I had already picked up on, that when Jay-Z got bodied with Ether, that was the death of the dynasty, because Dame Dash stopped fucking with Jay-Z. He lost his cool points. And the only reason that Harlem niggas would ever fuck with the Brooklyn niggas for their cool points, right? He could no longer use Jay-Z as a flex because he caught an L. That's why he brought Dipset on right after that, so he can prop the label up like they still had street cred. Hence the fact that he created a situation where Cameron had to pop on Nas. Where you think the Koofy smacking comment came from? That was all about, HIV, you got a house in Virginia. So Nas was dissing Cam and Jimmy was dissing Nas. But all of that shit was for them to create a cover because Jay-Z got aired out with Ether and Rockefeller no longer had that pristine street respect anymore. And Dame Dash started falling back on Jay-Z, and Jay-Z felt that. And he felt totally disrespected from the fact that his man was not willing to ride with him even with an L, even in the loss. Right? But Dame Dash is like, nah, that's where the buck stops, baby. Like, we don't do L's. We from Harlem. Not to no Queens, nigga. Right? So, if you're not from New York, you don't really understand the politics of, like, and it's funny because we're speaking about unification. We're speaking about, five fingers make the fist. Right? New York as a city is not unified New York as a city is not unified as a city. New York as a city is separate amongst boroughs. And as you can see with the drill rap, the boroughs are broken up into neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? That just like how it is out west. You can't say just because you in the South Central, that means everybody is unified in the South Central. No, you say, yeah, I live in the 60s. So that is as close as the unification has come. And then the 60s got infighting. And then there's infighting amongst the infighting. Hence the fact that you seen with Nipsey, right? So the boroughs are the same thing in New York, right? There is no unified New York City. It never has been. They call it The Gangs of New York was a movie for a reason, right? And the shit became Warriors later on in life. And then the shit became Beat Street and all of that. You know what I'm saying? And it's never stopped. You feel me? It's never stopped. So Brooklyn niggas fuck with Brooklyn niggas. They don't fuck with Harlem niggas. Harlem fucks with Harlem. Queens fucks with the Queens. The Bronx totally fucks with the Bronx. And Staten Island is all to themselves. Right? And then nobody respects Long Island like it's a part of New York. Just like they don't respect the shit upstate. Rochester, Syracuse, Albany, Buffalo, Monticello. All of them places where niggas go and they dump crack cocaine off. Or guns. And that's the only respect, that's the only relationship that somebody from the borough has with an outer borough or upstate region. There's no respect whatsoever there. So this is the shit that Conway the Machine was talking about with Funk Flex. The fact that no matter how much Griselda does as a record label, they never feel the respect that's afforded a New York City artist who's lit. Right? New York City is still propping up Fabulous and shit like that. And I mean, Fab still got bars. Right? But Mano got bars too. Can't say that about Jada. Right? But it's like, damn, y'all, it's 2023. And like, where's the new blood? Where's the new blood coming? It's all coming out of the Bronx right now. Because they decimated the entire Brooklyn drill scene. All them niggas locked up or dead. You know what I'm saying? So is Bronx. It's Ice Spice. It's Scarlet. Right? Who else is there coming out of New York? Because I might be missing some people. You want to talk about Africa? Yeah, you know, Fivio. Name me one song by Fivio Foreign this year. Name me one song that charted by Fivio. Favio. Name me one. Name me one. Because we in August, right? Summer got a few weeks left. Name me one Fivio Foreign. Who? Dave East. Hey, shout out to Dave East. But ain't nobody bumping Dave East. Yeah, it's the 50th anniversary, nigga. They talking about Ice Spice. It's what the game's been missing. So Afrobeats, yeah, you know, Afrobeats is, I don't even say that it's the future, it's the now. You know what I mean? Afrobeats is now. Yeah, Cardi's from the Bronx. All of them people you mentioned is from the Bronx. Rock Marciano's from Long Island, from Hempstead. Niggas don't talk about him like he's from New York. They talk about him on the internet, but he's not like he don't come into New York City and get respect as you know, as a member of the motherfucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not part of that fraternity. Yeah, and Nas' album has replay value. I've been bumping Nas in the whip, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not tired of it. I didn't, when I played Travis Scott in my whip, it didn't sound the same as it did the first time that I heard it. When I seen him perform the other day, some of those songs came to life, like Fiend and the shit he got with Drake, and like 2 other songs that I seen him perform, and I always felt like, okay, he was making studio music. I mean, he's making stadium music, so he made them songs to perform them, you know what I mean, in arenas, and then they sounded, you know what I mean. Killer Mike joint is dope, but I haven't been playing it, you know, past the 2 weeks that I was playing it. Nas, I can see myself playing that song or that album until King Disease 4 comes out. You know? So, once again, family, I don't know what we gonna do to have this conversation as a people, a respectable one. Maybe it should be on a platform or like a town hall meeting, but black men and women have to have a conversation about their relationship, right? Before we could talk even about we ain't black, you niggas is acting hella blackish. So we can't have a Moorish conversation with our people if you're not behaving like Moors who technically are principled. You know what I'm saying? They're noblemen. There's nothing noble about us right now. Feel me? We got some serious issues that we need to discuss and talk through. Because we fall for the same tactics, and it's getting so wore out. It's getting so corny. You know what I mean? But when it's time to celebrate something, you know, we jump into celebratory mode, and then we get triggered to go right back into divide and conquer, separation. I'ma bang on women. Nigga, what you look like? You get no points for that. And who's not telling these young men that you don't get no points for that? That you look like a whole entire hoe out in these streets arguing with women. Again, like, this is all DJ Academic does. Right? But where are the men who gonna regulate and put hands and feet on him if needed and necessary? Because sometimes that's all niggas understand, especially to get them to the table, to come to their senses. Sometimes you gotta get aggressive, right? Because you're looking at the children that never been beat. You're looking at the children who, their black children acting like how white children act in a supermarket with their parents. These is them niggas that you looking at. You looking at that little nigga that used to look at her in the street like, damn, how you gonna? We never let our children act like that in the street. Like, what's going on here? You looking at them niggas, right? You looking at them niggas who never been punched in their mouth before. So how do you get them, right, to understand sensibilities at this point when everything else has, you know, and they're convinced that they're grown men because they got bank statements, you know what I'm saying? Niggas got hair on their chin, you feel me? They done paid for some box, they got their wieners wet. How you gonna convince these men or these boys that they not men and they still need man training, and that you're qualified as an elder or member of society to teach it to them when they're taking all of their cues from Lil Uzi, Kodak Black, Future, Super Future, right? And people of that particular ilk. And you also told them the cash rules, so the pinnacle of success in our society or in this genre is a nigga's bank account. Lil Uzi got a lot of bread, right? Lil Yachty can even, Lil Yachty, what's the nigga name? Yachty? Lil Yachty, whatever the nigga name is, he could even flex on y'all. If it's about dollars and cents. So you done fucked the game up and set the wrong metrics, put the wrong metrics in place. The same nigga that told you it was all about the Benjamins. That nigga, right? That nigga, and yeah. These are the ones that done set the standards and the templates for the game. Right? The Diddies is your daddies. So now you got to go to them to still figure out and find out how to be men. And you fuck around and leave your boy around Diddy too long, nigga, and he's not coming out a man. Okay? So who's gonna reset it? Who's gonna put this shit back in perspective where it needs to be? Because it can't just be all about the Benjamins, or this is what you get. Right? You get a nigga who figured out, because you could be a clown and work your way to a check. Right? DJ Academics did it. You feel me? And he's been put in a position because he has the attention and the following to feel that what he says in the game is important in this law. Right? Because he has the numbers to prove it, that he can move the metric, he can move a needle in the culture. Right? So a nigga like that has that leverage, does he have the equal amount of power? And with that power, does that come with respect? Right? So are we supposed to be respecting what this man has to say about a woman in our culture that we know that we have a level of love and respect for, this transcendental, that being Erykah Badu? You shouldn't be able to talk about her like that. You should just not be able to. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, I wanted to say something in defense of sisters, period. You know, in defense of sisters, period. I wanted to also say something in defense of young men and men that, you know, all of us just don't sit by and watch shit like this take place and say nothing. You know what I mean? I also want to take responsibility as an older man in our community to say we need to do more outreach for our young brothers. You know what I'm saying? When I look at something like what DJ Academics has done, I'm like, we are failing as men. We're failing as the elder men or the older men in our culture to not be able to cultivate these young men into an understanding that that's just not how we deal with one another, specifically the women amongst us. Right? A joke is a joke is a joke, but that's not a laughing matter. You don't speak to grown people like that. You know, she's a parent of grown-ass children. You know what I'm saying? That are not too much older or younger than the DJ Academics is. Where does she get the right and the wherewithal to address members of our, you know what I'm saying, our community, our culture, our race like that? Right? And you know, it's almost like we hypocritical because we say way worse things about our women in the culture. We've done way worse things to our women in the culture, and we've laughed at it. We parodied it. At times we haven't given a fuck. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, damn, like, not. This is a different week. This is supposed to be a different week for us. You know what I mean? And we gotta see the shit that makes us weak as people, and we gotta put our foot down and say, you see the way that they ran down on them colonizers in Montgomery? That's the same way that we should be willing to run down on any ignorance in our community that's holding us back, that's fucking our image up. Because we are fighting an image war at this point. Right? We're fighting an image war. We are fighting to stabilize our brand again. Right? So a man can look at a woman and see, you know, her as a respectable woman, and, you know, we can normalize our relationships and start seeing eye to eye. You know? But I would love to hear from women for the past, since we have been in the dog days, they've been dogging women out every week. Every week, every top of the week, a woman is getting dogged out in the dog days. You know what I'm saying? But she's also coming into her own. She's also coming into her powers. You know what I mean? She's also putting her foot down and letting her voice be heard. Just 2 weeks ago, your entire, your entire femininity was being challenged by outside forces who you opened the door and let inside like vampires. Now they bit you on the neck. Now they stuffing you in the fucking closet and putting the dress on, like how the wolf did in Little Red Riding Hood when he stuffed up the grandmother and shit and put the dress on, and she came to the door and the nigga was under the bed like he was the grandmother. Yeah, that's what y'all going through right now, right? And you helped in that. So it's very hard to defend you in situations that you help create yourself. I would love to hear from y'all about how you gonna get yourself out of these situations, and as men, as your sons, as your brothers, your husbands, your uncles, your grandfathers, right? We're here to support you. We're here to support you, but you should be leading the charge on this, because ultimately this is about you and the decisions that you've made. This comes back to you. The little bitch ass niggas amongst our ranks that we got to deal with, that's our problems. We need to deal with that, because those are young boys who haven't been properly, exposed to men and what real men do. But the shit that's going on with y'all and your besties, and you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, I would love to hear from women how they plan to address these things that, they may have helped participate in. You know what I'm saying? And I'm writing a book with a young lady, Ty Phoenix, and it's about the astrologics of hip-hop in its 50 year. And it's going to be real heavily focused on women in hip-hop, or the energy around women in hip-hop, and what sort of astrological support can we see that speaks to this? Like, what are the cosmos lined up saying? You know what I'm saying? What did the cosmos... Because we could utilize receipts from the past. We got 50 years to review based on what the cosmos has said. So what has the cosmos said? What energy has the cosmos sent to this planet, and how have we utilized it? And what's the evidence that we can show as it pertains to man and female relationships? Utilizing, the cosmos, the charts. Shit has already been laid down. At this point, you just got to review what's already there. And then we can use that metric to say, all right, well, this is what it says is present now, or this is what it says to come. You know what I'm saying? These are the energies that are going to be with us. How do we best utilize it? Remind yourself on the daily that these energies are present, so you don't fall into these traps. You know what I'm saying? Don't fall into these traps. We were supposed to be holding on to that energy that, we were swelling up at the beginning of the week, and not fall right back into the man versus woman, energy trap. So I've said my piece. I'm interested to see how the situation with DJ Academic plays out. I'm gonna keep my eye on it. You know what I mean? And yeah, if you can stomach it, you might want to drop in and check it out, see it for yourself. Erykah Badu did a live around 5, I believe. She did something that was very short and curt to the fact. She spoke on it, you know what I mean? She didn't get into too much details, but she did touch on it. She made a comment on it. So you might want to check that out. You know what I mean? If that's somebody that you feel that you need to be pulling up to defend her honor, maybe you should be preparing to do that as well, because like I said, she was disrespected in a vicious way you know what I mean, by DJ Academics, and that's uncalled for. You know what I mean? That's uncalled for, especially in this climate. We gotta shut this felonious clown shit down. You know what I mean? But you also have to understand the fragile nature of these young men, right? And what they perceive to be violations, what they perceive to be disrespect, what they perceive to be, they can't deal with rejection, they can't deal with you laughing at them, even if they're jokes, even if they're felonious and you know what I'm saying? Even if they're the butt of the joke, they ain't their feelings if you laugh at them. So you got to understand the fragile nature of the children that are in our culture at this particular time. The niggas who could take penis, but you can't take a joke. Shit like that that's going on. Like, we really have to understand that these are some different times, and you know what I mean? Everybody is not built the same. Right? So with that, I want to say thank you once again for tuning in. Till next time, peace.